welcome. My name is Joanne, and welcome to today's Challah-cast. So we haven't done a Challah-cast for a few weeks, so I'm going to just start with Ki Tisa, but this Challah-cast is going to take on a couple of the theme that takes place in this last part of the book of Exodus. And the theme is also a theme that takes place in all of our Challah-casts and in all the books, all the Torah that we've read up till now, and that is Shabbat. So today I want to focus on Shabbat, and there's a particular mention in Ki Tisa, Parsha Ki Tisa, where the Torah tells us, where God tells us that the Shabbat is to be a sign between Him and the children of Israel forever, and that is in Exodus 31:12. You can read that, 31:12 to 17. But God tells that this Shabbat is a sign between Him and His people, the children of Israel. And basically His people speak to the Israelite people and say, "Nevertheless, you must keep my Sabbath, for this is a sign between me and you throughout the ages, and you may know that I, the Lord, have consecrated you." So that's the verse I want to look at today, and as we get ready for Shabbat. And so I would just like to talk to you a little bit about stepping into Shabbat tonight, because also we're in a particular time now. If you're watching this now in 2020, we are in this unusual time where everybody, a lot of people, mostly everybody in the world, is going to be home tonight on Friday night. So because we're in a kind of world shutdown because of well, I don't like to say the name, but because of the virus. I don't like to give power to the name of the virus. I like to give power to the name of my Lord Yeshua, who's the light and the life. And the Lord of Shabbat. So I like to not really so much say the name of the virus, but we are in this kind of time, and everybody's at home. So I think it's a really great, wonderful time to say, okay, did you hear what this scripture said? I, the Lord, have consecrated you, and the Sabbath is holy for you. So I want to suggest that we take this Friday night when we're home and seek the Lord on, if you have never entered Shabbat, to Him. Consecrate this Shabbat to Him as this sign. It's a sign that we are His people. And it's a beautiful time to gather with your family. And you really don't need much. You don't need anything, really. If you're in your home, whatever you have, even if I use these candles to light the candles, but I'll tell you, when I first started observing Shabbat, God asked me, just like I'm asking you now, almost like now, I'm sort of tapping on the shoulder and saying, hey, what about going and observing God's Shabbat? God did that to me. He tapped me on the shoulder one day when I just moved into this house, and I had actually consecrated everything to Him, not thinking about Shabbat, but just wanting to dedicate my home to Him. And He said, hey, not hey, He didn't say hey. He said to me, He said, daughter, I'd like Joanne, or I don't remember the name He called me, but He told me very clearly that He wanted me to start celebrating the Shabbat. And when I started, I didn't have like nice candlesticks or this little Ark of the Covenant that I got from Israel. I mean, I didn't have any of this. I didn't even, here's my challah, now I'm doing a Challah-cast. I didn't know how to make, challah, it's not a requirement really. You just, you take a communion, you don't have to make your challah, but it's something that you might want to do as God leads. But basically, celebrating the Shabbat, at the sundown, you light the candles and you make a blessing. I'll put a link to the blessings in this post, but you could start. I think a lot of the people who are watching this are actually not Jewish. They're believers. A lot of you are not, probably my audience is not a lot of Jewish people, but this is for all of God's people. This Shabbat is for all of God's people. You see it right here throughout. This is a sign between me and you throughout the ages, okay? If you're reading the Bible and the Bible speaks to you and God is your God, the God of the Bible is your God, this is a sign for me and you. So you are included. I want to just tell you that. Anyone who's watching this, and if you haven't yet, if you don't know the God of the Bible, it's also for you. Because this Shabbat, I just want to point out something really amazing, just interesting, that I find really interesting for the times that we're in, is that all throughout, we're getting to the end of the book of Exodus, and all throughout Genesis and Exodus, God built the Shabbat into the whole program. Anyway, the days of creation, of course, we know is 6 days of work God created, and then 1 day of rest. And then He showed us as well through when the first manna fell down, that we would go out and gather for 6 days, and then we'd stay in the house, right? Stay in the house just like we are all in the house now, and rest. So it's just so perfect, because this is how God created us. But now, okay, the point I wanted to make now is that now people are in the house and resting, but not because we're choosing to follow God's commands. I'm sorry to say this. I'm sorry to God to say this. I wish I could say that we're in the proper balance because we have chosen this rest that God has given us, that we're in partnership with him. I want to say something about the partnership at the end, but basically we're in this rest because it's like the world is now forced to rest. So we can see how out of balance we are. We're getting the Shabbat, we're getting the forced rest, but God didn't design it like that. God designed it 6 days of work. Something that we can see is that we can see the imbalance in what's happening now is because, well, not only because it's a condition of sickness and God is not a God of sickness, but because people also can't work. There's unemployment because of this shutdown. So people are not working and resting. So not working, resting, we're out of balance. It's supposed to be 6 days of work and 1 day of rest, but now it's all shut down. So people can't work and there's a lot of problems. People can't make an income and can't work. So this is not how God designed it to be, but yet we're facing this situation right now. So what I want to speak of in this Challah-cast today is to come back to God's way of how he designed us, and we voluntarily entering into he's told us to do it, but we accepting his way of how he designed us in this most beautiful way to observe the day of rest that he has given us, and we can turn it around. We can help the situation turn around as we look now in this time to how we can, what can we do? It's like, okay, I'm going to end this Challah-cast with the half shekel. I'm not going to do my challah baking today because I really wanted to give, I'm doing it, but I'm not going to put it on the podcast, on the Challah-cast today because I just really wanted to deliver this message about tonight's Shabbat, and I want to get it to you quick, and the challah dough is rising, and I'll be making the challah soon, and you can watch some of my other Challah-casts to see some of the challah, and I'll come back next week with some challah, with some bread, okay? But tonight, I just wanted to give you this message before Shabbat, that I could get this up before Shabbat to encourage you to take a little step. Basically, when I started observing Shabbat, I didn't have the candle. I took little tea candles I got at the dollar shop. That's what I took because I knew God wanted me to start right then, just like how I'm telling you now. If you were inspired to start right then tonight, I think it was, I was more on a Monday or something when he gave me a little more time. But I went out and I just got I might have just used what I had in the house, little tea candles and a little glass. And that's what I used, and then I got the blessings, and then I actually did make a challah for my first Shabbat. But I did make a challah. I didn't know what to do, but this was 3 years ago. And it's been amazing to step into his time. And it really, the greeting that we say on Shabbat is Shabbat Shalom. Shalom means peace, God's peace. So I can't put it all into this one. I really wanted to keep this under 5 minutes, and I see I've been talking 9 minutes already. So I'm going to stop talking, except just to say, the shekel, the half shekel, which is also in Ki Tisa. Ki Tisa means in accounting and takes the half shekel, and each person gives the half shekel. That shekel, the half shekel, it also represents some of this. The sages also say it represents the half shekel. We're only half. God and us, we're in partnership, so we're complete with him. So that's our life is, we are half a shekel, and God that's so generous of him that he would put half and we are half, but our lives are together in him. That's the half shekel that we all give for our atonement shekel, that we are one in him. We only become one in him. We're just half, all of us, okay? One of the things that is said about this half shekel is like, why a half shekel? First, everybody is the same. And right now, too, in the world, everybody's the same. It doesn't matter who you are or how much money you have. Right now, everybody's the same. Everybody's shut down in their home and, trying to do their best to help combat this virus, the spread of this virus. And everybody's the same. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. People are losing money. People are out of work. People are, we're all being put into this. We're all the same right now. We're all just, wanting to be healthy and help others. And, we're all like with the half shekel, everybody has to pay the same atonement, the same ransom. So it's a good time for us too to ask God, what can we do? What do we have to atone for? We all have something to atone for. We have to look at ourselves and not blame outside things for what's happening now, but we have to take this time while we're in our homes to repent and to return to him. Shabbat, the root of Shabbat means shuv, which means return. And this whole part of Exodus comes after the gold. There's this is what. Sorry, I have so much I want to tell you. Oh my goodness, I love you all, and I love Torah, so I want to tell you. This is the pattern of these chapters in Exodus. It's all about the building of the tabernacle. And tabernacle, we have the first part of the tabernacle, then we have the commandment for Shabbat, then we have the sin of the golden calf, then once again returning to God's saying, don't forget, you have to, you're going to observe my Shabbat. And then again, the tabernacle finally gets built to the specifications that it was given to Moses up on the mountain. There's a full cycle, but here it's when Moses is told, here it's when it's actually built, and in between was the golden calf, and bordering around the golden calf is Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat. So, like, if you replace golden calf right now to, plague or whatever the sickness is that's happening in our world, even if it's not right now with the plague, with the virus, anytime in our world we're sinning, there's something we're doing wrong, right? So take that and see how around it is Shabbat, to return. Shabbat is the root of Shabbat. Shuv is return to me. Shuv, Shulami, in Song of Solomon. Return to me, daughters of Shulamite daughters. So anyway, let's just take this advantage and do what we can to hear God and return to Him, and then through this return and this atonement and ask for forgiveness. And of course, we're forgiven in Yeshua, but we still have actions that we could do in our world and to live. There's still a lifestyle. Even if we're saved, how are we going to live each day? We have a lifestyle, and God gives it to us so beautifully in His Torah. So that is what I'd like to say. The Shabbat, you can make, if you would like to make a challah tonight, you can look on my blog. I have a lot of recipe links there from other people that are wonderful that I've gotten blessed by. So friends, I just want to really wish you a Shabbat Shalom, and bless you, and may we make our homes. We talked about this in another podcast, maybe last week, last one. You can look at it for Parsha Teruma. But make our homes a mishkan. Now we're all in our homes. May our homes be a mishkan, a place where we consecrate to God. We consecrate ourselves to Him. We consecrate our homes to Him. And as we go back to the scripture that we started with, that we would consecrate our homes to Him as we are consecrated to Him, and let Him look down from heaven tonight and see all these candles being lit at His appointed time when He comes to meet us in this holy convocation of time that He opens up, the memorial of creation, the memorial of the Exodus from Egypt, and the memorial of the wonderful redemption in Yeshua. And I have the little cup here, also the cup. And I want to invite you as well that tonight when you do your Shabbat, this is also a beautiful, the Jewish people, when we do Shabbat every week, we have the challah, and that's the bread. And we have the bread of life, and we have the wine, and there's a blessing that you also will do on the wine and the bread. So you have communion every Friday night with your family on this day that God appointed so you step into His time to meet Him with this communion. So it's so wonderful. I don't know how to express it to you, but you would experience it, and each week you would experience it, is my prayer for you, that each week you would experience it and you would draw so closer to Him through this Shabbat. And it's healing for our families. It's life for our families. So I just, I have stories about when I had made my first challah, my daughter came home from school and saw it. And anyway, I have so much I want to share with you about the Shabbat. But tonight, like I said, I'm going way over. And I just want to wish you Shabbat Shalom, and God bless you. Just wanted to add that little part that's really important, the part about the communion. So have communion with your family, have Shabbat with your family, and let me know. Why don't you just tell me afterwards how it was, and come back next week, or I don't do it if it's not next week or the week after. I'll probably be doing it next week. So next week, maybe we could either do the communion together, or we'll see what comes up in next week's Parsha as we finish the book of Exodus, and we say Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazek. Be strong, and may we strengthen one another.